Hello and welcome back. Today I am showing you how I made the first tiles for the tile set. I first measured how big the tile set should be. I'm using 32 by 32. And next I used a very useful tool in Clip Studio which is called Place Object, which will reference the file you're working on in another file that you have it imported in. You can see it really nicely right now when I'm working on the dirt, that every time I save the file, it updates the preview on the other file. And I find that's a really useful thing to use. Photoshop actually has a similar function, which is called the place linked file. And I have used that before as well, especially at my work. So it's a very familiar function for me. And it's super useful for testing out how your tiles are gonna link up on the final product. So in Clip Studio there is one thing that you need to do to get transparent files into the placed objects. So you need to delete the paper layer. Just hiding it doesn't work, it still registers as it's there. So yeah, just delete that one and it will work fine. Now, the first thing I have to mention is that I do not expect any of the tiles I make during this process to be the final product. So you will see me retouching and changing around pieces constantly. Right now I am creating some parts that are not used in the final game because my boyfriend told me that it kind of creates a weird collision box, so told me to change it or to skip using it altogether. So we'll see. One of the great things about pixel art is that you can easily see where the mismatch is coming from once you create the assets, and there's something missing. You can see like, okay, this is 1 pixel, or there's just like too much symmetry. I like to use a lot of pre-made work and just adjusting small details to make it unique, so it kind of saves time. I made a second tile for dirt just to have some sort of variety, but I'm not sure if we're gonna use it. I mean, we'll see. There is a chance that I will be making a lot more dirt tiles and different colored dirts, and we'll have to see how it works out. So I really like using this place object function to create samples of where to link up the pixels, and I just need to extend the canvas and then crop it back afterwards. It's super useful, and you can also get the colors from the placed image. So now I'm again touching up the grass, thinking of how to make it look better. It's a very long process. So now I started making the backdrop for the caves or tunnel systems that we probably will have in the game. But as soon as I started, my boyfriend told me to create the first temporary assets for the potatoes. So here is a quick little potato pixeling. I did make new versions for these, which probably aren't even the final ones yet, because I feel like they could use something more. But nonetheless, this is the current attempt at the potatoes. I I actually saved them out many times during this. I was like, okay, they're ready, and then I went back and I was like, no, they're not ready, and I just adjusted them more and more. And of course, since we want to have different kinds of potatoes, we added some different colors to it. Which I did make more prominent and more distinguishable in the next iteration of this tile. Here I was touching up the shape of the dirt to make the shadows create the heightened shape of the plot of land. And then I'm back to creating the cave backdrop. I tried adding some highlights, but in the end decided that it looked too different from the dirt and kept it simple. Next I started making the underside of the dirt tiles, which I kept in 2 tones, just to indicate that it is darker there and light is not hitting it. And I created all the tiles I could think of that I could need for this purpose. Transition blocks from light to dark from the sides and all the different cave drops and openings that I could think of. Of course I could make some more like angled tiles and stalactites, stalagmites, but I'll keep it for later when we have decided what we're gonna do. My preview file is getting huge with all the placed images, so it's getting a bit hard to keep track of them. And I try not to merge any of the layers, because once I do, the link to the actual tile files will be lost and the update won't happen, just as I explained earlier. Now, Clip Studio is not the best program to pixel in, but it works nicely for animations. This is almost the end of the video. As you can see, I created quite a few tiles today, and now we can basically start creating the very simple parts of the world so that we can start testing mechanics and stuff. Thank you very much for watching. Part 2 coming up soon.